Brought to you by Penguin.
Risk, A User's Guide by General Stanley McChrystal, U.S. Army, retired, and Anna Batrico. This is the author, Stan McChrystal. Note to listeners, this program includes a downloadable PDF containing a chart and diagram from the book. To the healthcare and other essential workers who, when faced with risk that is often difficult to effectively assess and impossible to completely mitigate, respond with quiet courage and too often sacrifice themselves for others. Prologue. Crimson Contagion. We are too much accustomed to attribute to a single cause that which is the product of several, and the majority of our controversies come from that. Marcus Aurelius, philosopher and emperor of Rome. You may remember how it started. A Chicago tourist returning from China carrying a deadly respiratory virus. The 52-year-old traveler was the first confirmed American carrier of a novel influenza virus. The virus spread quickly through human-to-human contact, and within days, hospitals across the country were overrun with patients experiencing fevers, chills, low energy, and unrelenting coughs. America's medical supply chain failed, and critical resources, like protective gear and essential medical equipment, fell in short supply. In mere weeks, the situation went from bad to worse. Medical professionals, the critical front line of the response to the virus, quickly became patients themselves, further straining systems that buckled under the weight of a pandemic-inflicted population. An ill-defined leadership structure, combined with mixed communications from Washington, thwarted a competent response to the outbreak. Within months of the initial case emerging in Chicago, the virus was on track to infect 110 million Americans and kill 586,000. A mortality rate roughly 5 times greater than that of the common seasonal flu. It constituted a national calamity of the first order. You may think that you recall these events, but they didn't actually happen. In fact, the outbreak starting in Chicago was the scenario for a series of exercises called Crimson Contagion that the Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, convened in 2019 to test the United States' capacity to respond to a severe pandemic. Its results were as alarming as they were conclusive. Our nation was woefully underprepared. Crimson Contagion was a wake-up call, but the nation slept through the alarm. Although key members of the administration were aware of what the exercises revealed, issues that ranged from severe equipment shortages to uncoordinated federal and state responses, the White House stood by its 2018 decision to dismantle the National Security Council Directorate that was responsible for pandemic preparedness. And there's scant evidence that Crimson Contagion's findings, specifically recommendations about school closures and fast, widespread testing, led to changes in policy. Tragically, in a matter of just a few short months, the systemic weaknesses that were identified by the exercise were proved all too real. The foreboding crimson bubbling back to the surface with a virus of a different name, COVID-19. COVID-19 is a contagious respiratory and vascular disease caused by severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2, SARS-CoV-2. Put simply, the virus is a thief that breaks into bodies and corrupts cells in human airways. Once in position,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?